Alright, so welcome everyone to No Man's Sky. I'm Narcogen.
I'm Blackstar, and here we are taking our first foray into the universe to boldly split infinitives that no one has split before.
I tried to stream it on launch, and game wasn't running very well for me, and the stream missed some of the audio. But now we're going to talk about No Man's Sky, and to be honest, so much of what we have to talk about doesn't really have much to do with what we're doing in the game. It's all this other stuff going on.
It's all peripheral.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what my planet has that your planet doesn't have?
Everything? Because they're all unique, pretty much?
No, mine looks like it has sunglasses. Okay, so here we are. I'm actually left my original planet. We're kind of jumping ahead. We originally wanted to do a beginning stream. We wanted to get it right from the get-go like everyone else, but apparently there are a lot of people that have done it, and many who weren't happy. And I hate to say it, I was having some technical issues myself. I was having problems where it actually was crashing.
Oh yeah, I had frame rate problems and a lot of stuttering.
Yep. So this isn't the same type of AAA title stuff that people kind of expect where you just, put it in and go. It's a very small developer team. They're definitely doing their best. And the experience once running and working has been great for me. Narcogen a little bit less because of technical requirements. If anybody is interested,
I'm pretty happy now. After I went to the beta 369 version of the NVIDIA drivers, I opened up the graphics settings file and disabled G-Sync. I mean, it is acceptable. And if NVIDIA comes out with a game-ready driver next week, it should get better. I actually redeemed my pre-order ship as well, so I'm in an Akinukaz S64, which...
I haven't touched mine for fear of it, because I heard things about if you did it at the wrong time or something would happen, bad things would happen. So I haven't touched any of my stuff. You've
got to do it after you get the blueprint to build the hyperdrive, because the problem you could run into is that if you immediately swap the starter ship, which has no hyperdrive, for this ship that has a hyperdrive, people were afraid that what would happen is that the game wouldn't prompt you to meet the characters that you need to meet in order to get the blueprint for the hyperdrive. And so if you then sold that ship early on in the game, you could essentially go from a ship with no hyperdrive, swap it to the DLC ship with the hyperdrive, sell it for another default ship with no hyperdrive, and the game would not notice that you needed one and wouldn't lead you to a character to get the blueprint. Now they do say that people have been fixing that. They just need to go to some places and meet some characters, and the game should basically throw that at you as soon as you need it. But better to do it this way. So I've got this one. Unfortunately, it only had one more slot than the ship I had, so it wasn't a big.
Oh, really? How many does the new ship have?
16.
Oh, really? Well, I'm in a better ship already.
So I've got 14. I've got 14 suit slots and 16 starship slots right now. And I'm gonna get in my ship now because it's cold here, and I keep having to put zinc in my suit.
Well, mine is actually the one I'm running on right now. Is one of the ones next to the one I was originally at. I can't pronounce a lot of these names, because they're all kind of, randomly generated and wanted to sound alien. But yeah, I'm on one of the alternate planets in the same system. So I have not left the system yet, but I did, in fact, actually get a hyperdrive. I did all the quest elements that you needed to actually manufacture it. It was a little tough, but I did grind a lot of stuff. In fact, I went so far as to getting enough credits to actually buy the ship that I'm in right now.
Well, how much have you got?
Well, unfortunately, after purchasing it, I'm a lot less. I had actually got over 800,000 credits, and I think the ship was in the 700s. It is a 21-slot ship.
Ooh.
It's a Humaniwad, or Maniwad, S57. And I've also upgraded, I've got a nice multi-tool. I've got a trace of Blankentech Raj. And this one is a 10-slot multi-tool, and it's actually got a bunch of little bells and whistles. Much more than the original one, including a 3+ range boost, a 2+ range boost. Actually, I should probably dismantle one of those because I don't really need 2 range boosts. It's got a combat amplifier, 1 and 2, and a system amplifier +1, and a plasma clip +1. Also, in my exosuit, I have earned up enough to get 20 slots. So there's only 1 slot discrepancy between my ship and my pack.
Nice.
The funny thing is, when I was getting my hyperdrive, the character of which I was getting it from was in an orbiting space station from the planet I'm looking at now, which is the one that I originally spawned on. I was very trepidatious about leaving. I was worried because people had talked about problems and going places, and I was so afraid of running into the problem of going someplace and not having the fuel to use my ship again. And I thought that might actually be a real possibility to go to one other planet and maroon myself, which fortunately has not been the case. I've actually been to a couple different moons in this system too, which are kind of neat. If you take a look at it, I've found every species that you could possibly think of and found tons and tons of waypoints, except for one. I can't find one species. And all the ones I've done down over here are actually kind of wild. And I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce these names. English is bad enough, but, you know, they're definitely interesting names. This one is actually pretty good. I'm on one of the moons, and what's neat about it, it has floating rocks everywhere. You know, I think there were a lot of people who thought that was really cool from Avatar and whatnot. And sure enough, I'm on a planet and several moons that all have floaty rocks. And what's really neat is some of them are so big you can land on them. I'm actually talking to you from one of the floaty rocks, which surprisingly enough is really cool. It's got one of the intergalactic trade outpost terminals right on it, which is a really, really neat thing in the system. But I do notice a little technical glitch. It kind of bounces around.
Yeah, I've seen that. Your perspective of your camera seems to jump around a little bit at some of the trade station interfaces. Okay.
Well, I have been busy because my foot exploration has been 77,000. I have encountered 11 alien colonists. I've learned 73 words. The most units I've done was 810,563. I haven't destroyed any ships yet. I haven't taken any pot shots anywhere. But I have destroyed 11 sentinels. I got to the point where they were just getting so annoying, I couldn't gather any material without them getting in my face, and so I pulled the trigger. But I haven't done any extreme survival exploration or planet zoology scanned.
I haven't really had that. I was on one moon with no life and no plant or animal life, and that had resources. It's the only place that I think that these sentinels were like normal.
Really?
Everywhere else I get them, they're like limited. They haven't been that. I've only 100%ed one planet. It was the starter planet, and I couldn't find the last thing. It turned out it was a flying bat species called Zigardu Lysorka.
Oh,
and
you're kidding!
I had seen them. And no, I had actually seen them, but the scanner was displaying them to me as red dots instead of green. I think they were moving too fast, and so I actually read a hint on a Reddit post that basically said,
"Let me guess, shoot him out of the sky."
Yeah, shoot him out of the sky and scan the dead body. So
you know what? You're right, and
there was this nice organic moment though, because where like nothing new happened, but what it was is that I found them and I shot one. And I went over and I scanned it, and then the same behavior that I've seen a dozen times or more before, right? Some sentinels came over, and they shined their lights on it, and then they looked at me, and I felt even worse than I did when I shot the thing.
Yeah.
Even though I know that's just what sentinels do, but, yeah.
It's just the fact that you felt bad enough that the whole thing, you felt immersed.
Yeah. And now I've
guilty.
gone over to one of the other planets where I have, I think, how many species left? There's 1, 2, 3, 4 missing on this one. Unfortunately, about half of the ones here are aggressive, and I always end up in a fight if I get out of my ship and go near anything. So
yeah,
I may give up.
Unfortunate.
Well,
you know what?
This one has floating islands of gold too.
Oh, it's funny. I was mining crystallized gold, which apparently you actually get a lot from that. Mining it, though, from the rocks takes forever. The rocks you don't get a lot per scan. The crystals you get a lot more compact stuff. Well, here I'm flying above, so you can see a little bit of what the system is like. And what's really neat is you see some of the travel lines where the space station goes.
Yes.
Even from this moon.
Yep.
And the weather here is nice, so I don't have to worry about my suit and whatnot. But yeah, one had radiation that was extensive. The other one had acid rain that was downtrodden. So yeah, there's actually weather on these planets, which is definitely kind of neat. But the original planet I was on,
there
was
are
hot.
storms on some too, by the way.
I ran into one.
I haven't seen it
from
yet.
the menu
myself.
No, it was more like a dust storm. But I left for the menu to use the bathroom, and I came back, and all of a sudden it was very dusty. The one thing I have noticed that I wish you could do is that from flying around, you can't scan from a low
there's a
flying pass.
There's a hard deck of about 500 meters, and the ship enforces it automatically.
Yeah, it's
so basically once you take
bummer.
off, it dumps you up to like, I don't know, maybe like 100 meters or whatever, and it won't go below that. The only way to go below that is to initiate the landing sequence. So some people are very frustrated by that. They want more manual control. The ship really is a lot of... It's almost like if the spaceship was going to be made by Apple, in the sense that it doesn't let you do anything in a way it doesn't want you to do it.
It's a very simplified flight system, and I can understand to a certain extent why they did it that way. But at the same time, what I wish that you could do is that you could scan from orbit and see the results. So you could kind of do like hop, skipping, and jumping to stuff. The game really wants you to walk everywhere.
I do short jumps. I don't like walk longer than a couple minutes.
Well,
tops.
No, well there is that. Well, that's just it. There is that trick, and I don't know if you've seen or heard of it, but it's basically.
I meant the ship. I mean just using the ship. But there is the jump trick, yeah. And people are asking that they don't patch that out. Oh, is that a monolith down there?
Here I'm going to go to orbit, and I'm actually going to go to the original planet, because the one species, I think, was a flying species. So I think you were right.
I've also died horribly once by landing too close to a rock and having the thing basically embed me in the rock when I try to take off again.
Oh, no.
Which has happened to other people, apparently, too. I just found a monolith randomly by looking around, so I'm going to interact with that.
Well, I'm actually looking at a space fleet right now, and I don't know if I'm supposed to be shooting at them, but I get the feeling that you are.
You're not supposed to. No, you're not supposed to be. You can if you want. The game is indifferent about these things, which I like.
Yeah.
Oh, I've learned the Korvax word for failure.
Yeah, you're in the Korvax.
It's all
area?
Korvax all the time. I haven't even seen anything else. In fact, the only if I didn't know better, I would say the only evidence I have that other species exist in this universe. Oh, I hit another rock. Okay, but I didn't.
Well, mine seems to be the Vicline or Vic. I don't know how you pronounce it. Yeah, I am in one of theirs. So yeah, so the original planet I won was Exois. And I'm actually going to head over there now. I'm going to pass the space station, because there actually is a space station in orbit of that, along with 2 moons. And I've been to both of them, and unfortunately they're not quite as hospitable as the original planet I was on, because that one, while warm, had an abundance of life and other things to go see. So I'm going to go see if I can find that last species real quick. So let's see if we can... fire up the engines, engaging pulse, and seeing if we can get there.
Yeah, the other thing I didn't know you could do is that you can kind of farm these signal scanners by feeding them bypass chips over and over again, and they'll keep giving you new waypoints. I was doing them one at a time.
Really?
I figured that they would only do one thing, and then you'd have to go to another one, but it turns out sometimes you can get 3 or 4.
Oh yeah.
And I did not know that. Alright, so why don't we talk about the next elephant in the room? Aside from the initial stability and a lot of complaints that the Windows port is bad and that it doesn't perform well and all that kind of stuff, was the multiplayer. Because what we had said we wanted to do as a gimmick was, hey, let's see if we can meet in game, just because they said, well, you could do that, but it would be really rare. And even all the things I had read over the last couple of years, I was kind of suspicious about whether there was any real multiplayer, because they said, well, it's not they kept de-emphasizing it. They never came out and said, this game has no multiplayer, but they de-emphasized it. But when the game got put out on the stores, on Steam and GOG, it was labeled as single player, and when they put it on PS4, it doesn't require PS Plus to play, which they usually do for their games that have multiplayer, and the ratings agencies didn't put their little asterisk on things that they usually do, which is online interactions not rated, which could just mean that, there's no voice chat integrated into the game, and no means to communicate with other players, because there aren't.
Right.
But some PlayStation players did manage to coordinate and try to arrive at the same place in the universe at the same time and could not see each other, leading to a big discussion about whether or not it was even possible, to which there has been no concrete answer. So we do not know whether this was a feature that merely does not exist and perhaps never was going to exist. Maybe it is not implemented in the game, but perhaps will be at a future point. Or, and this is maybe my pet theory, which is that perhaps it is a little bit like... I'm going to go into a shelter here so I can get out of the cold. That it's a little bit like Destiny if you took away the fire team feature, right? If you, the only way you can definitely meet up with people in Destiny to go to a social space or a play space is to make a fire team. And we knew, they said, it's not a co-op game. It's not a PvP game. You're not going to be playing with your friends. It's about solo exploration. And if you took the fire team feature out of Destiny, and you tried to meet a person by saying, hey, let's just go patrol the Cosmodrome together. You go down to the Cosmodrome and I'll meet you there. What would happen? Well, nothing. There's no way you would meet people like that. You might meet other people, but you would not meet the person you're looking for, because the game wouldn't match you together just because you wanted it to. And you could also take screenshots of you and your buddy standing on the same place in the Cosmodrome and not seeing each other. The difference is, of course, is that there are lots of people playing Destiny, and the game wants to put you with somebody. Even if it doesn't put you with somebody you know, it will put you with somebody. But if the game was designed to prioritize solo exploration, then it might say, you know what, roll the dice. 1 chance in 1,000 you get matched with somebody. Just because you're standing in the same place, same time? Oops, sorry, didn't put you in the same one. So what? So maybe they've delivered. Maybe the reason why they're being cagey, the reason why the developer and the guy who's head of the team and who's doing all the public statements so far is Sean Murray. He was surprised, like, oh wow, it's so surprising. There's so many people playing, and the servers are overloaded, and I didn't expect people to meet each other so soon. Wow, it's so amazing. And everybody's like, you're killing me here. Give me the answer. Does the game have multiplayer or not? And it would be so simple to answer, and he's not. And I'm wondering if it's because he knows that if the answer is what I think it is, which is like, yeah, it's in there, but we deliberately make it rare. We deliberately make it hard because we want it to be special and not ordinary. I have a feeling people would blow a stack. I appreciate it, frankly, as a design parameter. But I could see maybe that's why they're being cagey, or else it's just not in the game, but they hope to get it in the game. I know that they've said they want to do free updates, kind of like Minecraft, not DLC. They want to add features. They want to add, I think they've mentioned 2 already. They want to add base building and freighters.
Oh, well, that's the kind of thing that I would love to have, because there's so many things that you run across that you would love to actually store and move on. And I totally understand that they need to limit the on-ship capacity and the on-suit capacity. Otherwise, people would just, carry a billion weapons and carry a billion things, and that wouldn't be fun. But at the same time, there's no place where you can put things in a locker. You run into all these bases and all these different places you can go to, but they're someone else's. You can't make your own.
I think people
can't set up something for yourself.
People were expecting the exploration, but I think they weren't necessarily expecting the survival elements, especially with regard to the restrictions on inventory space, which especially early in the game are kind of onerous. It's a lot like some of the Minecraft mod packs that deliberately take away your inventory slots and force you to unlock them by doing achievements.
Yep.
Oh is that a trade? Oh no, that's like energy production. But I gotta admit though, I've had so many just weird, interesting experiences. Like, I've been doing a lot of the monoliths. I went to one that opened a portal and a mirror version of myself stepped through and gave me a multi-tool.
Oh, neat.
Oh, hostile animal. Hold on. Will you give me a break?
Uh-oh. Speaking of break, here comes one of those nasty species that keeps coming up and taking bites out of me. I'll go with the bolt caster. Yeah, these things take a lot of rounds.
Yeah, I've got this thing that kind of looks like some kind of... Oh, am I shooting the wrong? Oh no, now two of them are hostile. Oh, that's not great. That's not great.
Get out of there. Get out of there. So while you're being attacked, I'll mention that a couple of the things I noticed or had read about is that there are several elements that apparently are pretty rare. And there's some that you can only get under certain circumstances.
Yeah.
And one of them, strangely enough, seems to be copper.
Oh, I have not seen any copper yet. I gotta say.
What?
Oh, stop it.
I hate to say it, but the planet I'm on has absolutely riddled with giant floating balls of copper. So I think I'm actually going to, try to make an effort to collect as much of it as possible. This also seems to be a very iron-rich environment, so I don't think iron is that much that rare. But yeah, I have entire giant blocks.
Oh wow, this guy is
copper.
actually attacking other animals.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, if they're a predatory species.
He's chasing off, like, there's like a crab spider thing. Oh, he killed it. Yeah, there's a
Really?
Doptus offercap, which is like a crab thing, and this Aubergine Nipidius thing, just like hunted it down and killed it. I've actually now hiding on top of a monolith of Heridium. I was going to use this as a vantage point to shoot it, but then it ran away to kill something else. At least I got to scan it. I mean, I wasn't really trying to kill it. I just needed a way to scan the thing without it trying to kill me.
Yeah, I've got this Famida Delagi or Delgidi. And yeah, this is one of the primary ones that comes in and bugs the crap out of me. It's kind of a cross between
there's another one.
A long-legged crab and a praying mantis.
Oh yeah, I said something kind of like that. Okay, and there's the other thing, right? It's supposed to be infinite, pseudo-random, rules-based procedural generation, and
right.
But you don't have to play that long before you discern. You kind of get the idea of what the rules are, and you get a general idea of what worlds look like. Oh, it's this type of world. It's a foresty world. It's a deserty world. It's a water-like world. And the animals are, what are they like on this planet? Oh, they're crab things on this one, and goat things with dog heads on the other one. And
right on the other one.
You start to get the idea of what tools are in the toolbox.
Yeah.
For making stuff. All right, how many animals have I got left on this planet? Because I just scanned 2 more. I got 3 left.
Well, it's funny you say about the flying things, because I did remember seeing a flying species before, and now I want to see if I can find them again. Because if that's the one I couldn't scan, that's going to be kind of a bummer trying to find those.
I've got Kitamulia lojocular, which is a timid grazing creature. But then I got this other thing that almost looks like the same body type, and it's but instead of a weird snout, it's got like a little anglerfish thing on the top of its head, and it's got a stalking temperament and eats insects. But it was definitely trying to eat me.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's not good.
Okay, all right. So I've uploaded, and you're making sure to upload all your discoveries and get the money for it, right? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding? And that's the only way that I was able to afford it.
Yeah, I guess these things must be qualified as insects, because it's going out here eating these crab things like nobody's business. So I'm at the point now where I have a hyperdrive and I have 1 warp cell for it, and what the game wants me to do now is leave the system.
I'm in the same boat. The exact
a lot of
same
monoliths, but I get the idea that I'd like to try and investigate a crashed ship, because I haven't done that yet. So I'm looking for transmissions.
I actually got a crash ship.
Did you?
Yes, I did. I got one that had 1 or 2 more slots than the original ship, the Rasamama, and it was kind of an odd-looking thing. It was kind of like a spidery lem type of vehicle. I actually ran into it on the space station. What was funny is that when you actually run into them, and I actually have a little spaceport here. I don't know if you have one.
I've seen one, yeah. I was using it to farm gold for a while, and then the price of gold dropped, and I don't know if I caused that or whether that was just random.
Oh, gold here is fantastically expensive, so whenever I find gold, I can get some serious credits for that. But what... Here, I'm going to get in my ship because it's a little warm out. So what's funny is that when I went to try to find stuff, one little outpost has a little landing pad that people would land on occasionally.
Yeah.
But the spaceport area, the little depot, had several platforms, and ships would go there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So on sometimes you would have like 2 or 3 ships that you could go over and try and buy. So it was kind of like a little, automotive dealer place where people would just kind of show up and you could check their prices. Well, the ship that I got, of course, was free. I had to repair it and move my stuff. So I think my spaceship is still sitting there on the ground somewhere else, and that particular ship is also sitting on the ground somewhere else because I guess you abandoned them. You can't bring them any place, and you can't sell them. Well, I went looking to see that particular ship again on the space station, and it had more slots than the one I had. But the price of it was also like 1.5 million units. It was twice as expensive as the one I have now.
I've seen ones that's up to like 1.8 and with 25 slots, and there are ships as big as 48 slots that I've heard of, at least.
Yep. Well, believe it or not, somebody found an abandoned ship that was a 48 slot unit, and people were like drooling over it because there are ships in this game that over 65 million units.
Wow, really?
Yes. I kid you not. So there's quite a scale for this. So be ready. So I'm gonna jump out of here and see if I can find this one last species real quick. I don't see any flying things around now. But yeah, the planet that I'm on right now that you can see with all the floating things, this was indicative of pretty much my first experience. There were a lot of caves, and there were a lot of different beacons I found, and there were a lot of stations, and the occasional plaque, and of course learning stones, and other things like that. I'm actually going to see if I can mine out some of this copper, because if it is that rare, I want to get some stacks first.
Alright, well, I didn't get a ship, but I got a station with a landing pad and an alien guy in it.
The other thing that seems to be jumping out and poking me is there's this nasty tentacled thing. What's this one called?
Yeah, I've got a lot of ground tentacles that kind of whip out and smack at you when you walk by.
Yes, I have those too. Now, there's a little trick with the multi-tool about the charge cycle. Apparently, if you let the thing run up to just about maximum and then let go and then immediately use it, you don't have to wait for the cooldown.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yes.
Oh, they'll probably fix that, though.
Probably, so enjoy it now.
So also, by the way, when you run into outposts on the ground that have landing pads, you should definitely use them, because that connects your ship inventory to the trade terminal.
Yes, and well, not only that, but it also, when you take off again, you don't use your own fuel.
Yes.
It actually saves it. And those are usually ones that when they have pads, that also means that they're connected to the intergalactic trade stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, they almost always have that. But I've also had
night's falling where I'm at.
And I know some people have also said that, oh, well, the interactions are shallow. You meet an alien, and eventually you'll discover that there's only a few species, and their interactions are limited. And they are, in terms of, they're always like a 2 or 3 multiple choice thing. But I think people are just skipping through and they're not reading it. They're basically looking like, oh, I hit button A, B, and C, and I'll either get a reward or I'll get punished. But I really appreciate the context. I was floored. Earlier today, I was up to a guy, and it literally told me that, this guy was dying. Okay, now, unfortunately, the animation didn't bear that out. It was just the same as all the other guys I'd seen. He was just kind of sitting, looking at a data pad or something. And his speech mentioned the word echoes, which I know the Korvax use basically to talk about, the sublimed aspects of their culture, the people who've died and gone on to some other form of existence. And there was an option, basically, to wait or to use some thamium, whatever it is, to revive the guy. And so I went back to my ship, and I got some thamium, and I brought it back, and I revived it, and he was pissed. He was
Really?
pissed. He was pissed. Yeah, he was basically like going to heaven, and I stopped him.
You interrupt.
Yeah.
I
was just
ran into that with the guy who punched me in the face. You know, I mean, you get these weird reactions, so you can't quite have the same human standards towards the alien characters.
Yeah, which I like. And then you go to the monoliths, which are basically like Grimoire, Destiny Grimoire, but in the game, where they give you the lore. The problem is that, like with Destiny, right, it's all outside the game, 100%. It's these virtual cards. Somebody's in love with the interface and the design, and I think they need to get over it. And it's nowhere in the game. And then this is like a series of flashcards that they show you in the game, and then they disappear into the wind because after you've read it and walked away from that person, that's it. It's gone. You don't know. Like you can't collect them. You can't see them offline. So it's got exactly the opposite problem. The one thing I do appreciate though is that they edit these. These are short. Some of those Grimoire cards, people are a little too in love with themselves. I mean, they're great, but they're like novellas. They're like little short stories. They're not cards. These are cards. Yeah. They're all like a couple of sentences. Okay, this guy is pleased to see me. He's working on an equation. And the translation, he's also talking about the Korvax echoes. He's mentioning something about a low intelligence life form.
Mm-hmm.
And he's asking me a question, and my answers are, okay, so in one, the fragments of a complex equation are made whole and solved, and in another, a number is boosted, added, and multiplied. I have to tell it, is the answer to his question the multiplied number or the solved equation? And I don't know. And a lot of these are just, I like the experience of like, humans are out of their depth. Or actually, okay, let's be on that. We have no reason to assume that we're human in this game. And I think the developers kind of hinted that we're not.
Yeah, I have a feeling we probably weren't either.
We may be a member of one of these species as far as we know, and we've just hit our head or we're stupid. But we don't know what the deal is with this universe. And so we're completely out of our depth, and I kind of like that. Alright, well, that made him happy, and he healed me and gave me a life support module upgrade. So I guess that was correct? Maybe? I don't know. Yeah, I got a +2 life support module. Can I build that? And if I build that, can I dismantle? No, okay, I can't dismantle that. I need to use a slot for that. But you know what? It might be worth it. Might be worth it. Let's see. Install technology. Health module +1. This is life support +2.
Ooh, I found a new module. Yeah, I've been pulling the trigger really, really quickly on my sentinels, and I'm getting a couple different things. These little beer cans that seem to fall out of them. They have vital components. One of them, which is I guess pretty good, is a neutrino module. Yeah.
That's just a trade item. Ooh, I got a milestone. I think, for a number of aliens.
No, it's actually a construction item. I've seen the neutrino modules is part of something you actually have to build.
Is it a crafting ingredient? Oh,
yes,
okay.
It is. It totally is. In fact, I got some electron vapor that I thought was going to be needed for construction of the warp drive stuff, but apparently not. I need some thaumium. I'm totally out for my pulse engine.
So yeah, I mean, I think we're enjoying ourselves, and we're going to keep on with this, and I think we're going to keep on with our goal of maybe trying to meet up, and who knows, maybe there'll be a multiplayer feature implemented by the time we achieve that.
We can only hope.